Tommy and Mike lighting up the sky. Dance to the data, laughs in the mix. Fabric and AI, get your fix. Explicit measures, drop the beat now. Podcast kings feel the crowd. Explicit measures. Explicit measures. Drop it loud.
Good morning and welcome back to the Explicit Measures podcast with Tommy and Mike. Sorry, there were some technical difficulties happening this morning, which is why we're a little late today. Anyways, we're here. For those of you who are listening or recording, you're like, there are no technical difficulties. It's just working. Great. Thanks for listening after the fact. All right. Main topic for today. Let's talk about the ideas area. So ideas.powerbi.com or ideas.fabric.com. What kind of ideas are out there? How do you submit an idea? What does that look like? And maybe what do Tommy and I see around what's coming up next? You know, what happens next with data engineering? What changes do we see occurring in the space that you need to be aware of as we start predicting what's going to happen moving forward? I will say this, Tommy, and this is going to kind of lead into my little news item here this morning.
Go ahead.
This morning, I was talking with Tommy about getting things going, and we're going up here next to Microsoft Fabric Conference. This is down in Atlanta. And so because of the Fabric Conference, it's a big event. And when Tommy and I go on the podcast, we always check like the blogs for Power BI, the blog for Microsoft. And typically, leading up to these big conferences, Microsoft announces nothing. There's no news coming out. There's almost no blogging because they're holding back all the announcements and blogs and really large efforts. They want to make a splash. Totally understand.
Right.
So all this to say, I was talking to Tommy this morning. I said, "Oh, what version of desktop are you on?" And she said, "What version are you on?" I think that's all I said. And I started rattling off some numbers for the desktop version that I'm on, the February 2026 version. And Tommy was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, we had it. We have it here. We are seeing the death of desktop now. It's becoming
Is that what it is?
more evident now than ever because Tommy was not able to like pick up on what version desktop I was on and catch it. Again, it's early in the morning. I'll give you some slack, Tommy. It's early in the morning. Go ahead.
And first off, Mike, you are also the person that has every version of Power BI desktop.
I do. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. No, it's actually very weird. Yes. So, of course, you have all the version numbers. I bet your folder names are not month. They're the version number.
I don't even do folder. I just put them all into the same folder, and then I just keep making it. It finds that there's already a file there, and then I just say, "Well, keep both copies," basically. And now I'm up to. I'll tell you, Tommy, how many versions of desktop I have, and I'll also admit the more recent versions of desktop are very expensive to hold on to because they're much, much larger. Thankfully, I've got a fairly sizable SharePoint drive I can go grab that from. So we go here to my downloads. I'll go into the Power BI folder. They're each now like 900. It's like a gigabyte download for each file. So
yeah,
I just downloaded desktop version 147 on my machine, and on that version, we are pushing 859 megabytes of file for that. It's just becoming
how much?
859 megabytes is what the size of that file. It's massive. And just a year ago, January of 2025, we were at 553 megabytes. So in only a year, we've almost doubled the size of the file. Just a little over a year.
The problem, Mike, is do you ever download the Windows Store version, the Microsoft Store version? Or
I also have that one installed as well. Yes.
But you don't have the version history, right? Because
I don't
have that.
I don't check that one, honestly. That one I don't really look at. I just let the store update itself. Honestly, Tommy, I think I typically use the one I download the exe file. That's actually the one I use all the time. I don't actually use the store version very much. But I do have it because it updates automatically and other fun things.
So speaking of things that you've been doing for a long time, do you remember, because I've always had the store and the exe file.
Yes.
Back in the day, they were not in sync in terms of some little bugs. For example, the Microsoft Store.
Yes.
You cannot drag and drop your queries in Power Query. I remember it was like that was probably for like the first 4 years, and it was the most frustrating
Really?
thing. Yeah.
I think they've since modernized that now, so I'm pretty sure the builds they're
Mhm.
putting out now are more consistent across both the store. But when you go to the store version, Tommy, I'm looking at the store version here. The store version says its approximate size for the store version is 3.1 gigabytes for the store version.
Jeez.
That's insane, dude.
That is quite a bit.
Also, to help me understand like which version I'm on, I have like the store version in dark mode and I have the EXE version in light mode. So I know which version of desktop I'm in. If I'm in dark mode, I'm in the one from the store. If I'm in light mode, I'm in the one from downloaded from the EXE downloads area as well. So I believe when I look at them now, I think they're both on the same version. The one that I just downloaded, I'm just double checking here. 1182, and then checking my other one here, see what the version numbers are. Yeah, they're the same. I'm on the same versions for both. Yeah, I will say this though, Tommy. Right now is the time everyone's kind of waiting, because if anyone's doing demos or getting to do publishing things directly inside or do demos inside the Fabric conference that's coming up next week, this is always very nerve-wracking, because right now I see all the changes in this in the service. The documentation that you were doing is slightly different. And what happens is some stuff typically breaks. Little things get out the door that are just not quite right, or maybe a bit rushed, and it doesn't quite work right. So this week, expect some turmoil in your Power BI application, either on the service or locally, because usually little things just kind of go off the rails during this week.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, all of that to say, I'm happy that Tommy didn't even know what version of desktop was on anymore.
By memory, and usually you tell me to close all my applications
Yeah.
before we do our thing, so we don't have technical difficulties. So
100%. So now you're blaming on me?
you have Power BI desktop open, don't you?
Not anymore. I closed it because I don't want anything. I don't want anything else extra open to like take resources from my computer right now. I even closed Teams. I'm not even in Teams right now because I can't. I don't want to.
Oh, I always close Teams too.
I don't want to risk, having something freak out, because Teams is a memory hog and things like that as well. Awesome. Good things about news. All right, let's jump into our main topic today. What do you say, Tommy?
Let's do it.
All right. Main topic for today is another mailbag. We've been doing a lot of mailbag March things. This is an interesting topic. Let's get into it. Tommy, read us off here.
All right. Hi, Mike and Tommy. I absolutely loved your episode on living in a direct lake world, episode 504. Could you please talk about how to submit Fabric ideas? What kind of ideas are the best ones? How to foresee the future of data engineering? Maybe not focus just on AI, but things like new data types, interesting, new applications, new use cases and domains where data engineering can be used in. I will submit more ideas every week going forward. Cheers, Javan. And I believe that's the right way to say it.
Good enough. I'll take it, Tommy. So let's talk about this. I think this has changed for me over the years a little bit. Do you remember those early days of like ideas.powerbi.com? Everyone was like, oh, this feature would be great if we had this. This feature would be great if we had this. And we went back and said, no, you have to go back to ideas.powerbi.com and go get all the data there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I actually recommend that very much anymore. Have you been, like, when you talk to customers or you talk to people, in recent years, I have not been suggesting run back to that area and go submit your ideas. What do you think? What are your thoughts with?
In the day, we'll give a bit of background.
Back in the day to right now.
So back in the day, there was ideas, or it wasn't ideas at Power BI tips, but it was Power BI. Do you remember the URL?
It's ideas.powerbi.com.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
so that was
basically. You can still go there. You can still go to ideas.powerbi.com. It just redirects you now to community.fabric.com.
Yes.
One of the forums called Fabric Ideas. And so now it's just Fabric Ideas for like everything all in one place.
So back in the day, this ideas, it wasn't a forum. It actually didn't look anything like it does now. And what it was is simply anyone's ability to submit an idea or vote on an idea. Pretty simple. But the thing was, really, I want to say for the first 4 or 5 years of Power BI's existence, the Microsoft team basically went through like their releases, what they were going to work on, very much off the ideas. They would mention it on the blog, like, hey, these are all coming from the ideas. These are the most popular. The status of the ideas would change to be able to see even ones like the status was, hey, we're going to actually start working on this. Or, this is going to be completed in the next cycle. And it was a really, everything that was submitted in Power BI ideas was from the community, was from really non-Microsoft people. And that really shaped the product.
I think the initial days, it really felt like the ideas.powerbi.com was shaping the product. And there was a lot of emphasis to go there, submit your ideas. I think also at some point, Tommy, when things were small, it was a lot easier for people to manage, update, and groom the ideas down into like real product features. I feel like some point in the middle here, before we got Fabric, but then more when Microsoft Fabric or Power BI was like a lot more mature, I think we had a point where the number of ideas that were getting added to the ideas backlog was just proliferating too much.
Yeah.
And so I remember actually, I remember going to a point where I was trying to add ideas to the ideas area, and there were so many ideas that I couldn't even get my idea into the queue because I didn't know if there was another idea that was similar. It just felt like to me there needed to be like a lot of like really a better tool to like group ideas, similar ideas together and start really consolidating the number of votes. And it feels like to me, some of the focus has moved away from ideas and has moved more towards enterprise grade features.
Yes.
I feel like for me, like the product team has listened to the ideas area, but the ideas area is for like everyday users. Could be a small company, could be a big company. Everyone can vote for the things. Great. Love that. But I feel like right now, a lot of the features we're seeing come out are just focused on larger enterprise, and it's less about polishing or finishing things inside desktop or Power BI desktops particularly, right? It feels like a lot more around like enterprise features, CI/CD, the service, and I feel like there's a lot more of a movement towards let's get all these features added onto Fabric so customers have a migration path to go from just Power BI licensing into Fabric licensing as well. Is that your perception too, Tommy? Does it feel that way to you?
Honestly, when did Power BI Premium even come out or per user? It wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years after Power BI Desktop. And yeah, in the very beginning, the people who were submitting ideas were the developers, the individuals, the creators. And Microsoft was still kind of working on an enterprise platform or an enterprise tool. They had the business tool, but they did not have nowhere near the enterprise tool. Kind of move forward to where premium per user really became the main standard. And that's when I noticed the shift too, Mike, where a lot of the features that were coming out, which were needed and are needed, especially in an organization level settings, from security to not just your admin settings, but to your point, as we see now with CI/CD, as we see with notebooks, having this more enterprise tool, the ideas that are being submitted on Power BI are very much still about desktop. They're about the little things that people do. Just looking at the hot ideas right now, copy values from Power BI visuals, conditional formatting, and then like test as an audience, improve data slicer. So again, that's very much on the builders, which is really what Microsoft needed to shape in the beginning anyways.
Yeah, I would agree with these. I would agree with these comments too, Tommy. And I'm also, the ideas website has substantially changed from what it was, right? It was like another tool, and it kind of got moved into this new area. And so I feel like for a while there, I complained a lot about ideas were like unsearchable. I couldn't find them. Looking at the different ideas, they've done a much better job kind of improving the ideas site. It's much more like a forum now where you can actually read the first 2 sentences of every idea and actually understand what the idea. Like before, it was like literally just a sentence. It was like, here's one sentence of the title of the idea, and you're like, well, I don't know what that means. Like, do I even want to click into it? It was just so much extra effort here. So I'll argue with you there on that one, Tommy. Like it's definitely improved from where we've been. But okay, I want to go do a quick trivia with you, Tommy. Here.
All right.
Let's go back Well, hold on. I got to get the sound effect here. You asked the question. You asked the question. When did Power BI Premium per user come out? Give me a guess, Tommy, without Googling it. I know you probably Googled it. Take a second here.
I haven't done it yet.
When do you think Power BI Premium per user was announced? Now, I'm going to be a little bit vague here because there is a blog post around when it went GA. Okay, so let's just talk about when did Power BI Premium go GA?
I remember even submitting the special Microsoft form on what they would want Premium per user to be way before it was even out.
Yep.
I'm going to say if data flows were 2017 and that was the pro feature, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and say 2019.
Great comment, Tommy. The announcement for Power BI Premium generally available. This is Power BI Premium generally available. I'm not sure if this is Premium per user. So Power BI Premium went general availability in 2017. So that's Premium.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to figure out where Premium per user came out, which is probably, you're right, sometime after that. So I'm checking that one right now. Premium per user general availability. Oh, wow. This is way later. Okay. Good guess, Tommy. March 2nd, 2021.
2021.
2021. Yeah. So Premium came out in 2017. So desktop released in 15. Premium came out in 17. And then you roll up to 2021, where now you have Premium per user showing up. And that's an announcement made by Arun announcing Power BI Premium per user generally available. So that's
2021.
Yeah. That's about the time we started the podcast, just a little bit thereafter.
We started the podcast, I believe, in May of 2021 as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Isn't that
so? That's crazy. And then 2 years later, Fabric.
Then 2 years later, all Fabric shows up. Yes, correct. And now we're back on to let's go back to Premium. Just straight Premium. We got to get that everywhere. let's move everything. Then Premium just becomes now Fabric, right? So Fabric just basically migrates into hey, this is now Premium. The reason I bring this up, Tommy, is you're talking about different ideas. How do you get things to stick, right? Where's the investment from Microsoft coming from? And I think there's a lot of, when you go to the New Ideas website, there's a lot of areas that Microsoft is trying to build into. Fabric platform, admin, capacity, CI/CD, Data Hub, OneLake. There's now an IQ space, IQ ontology, Power BI, general product, real-time results, data factory, data science, data warehousing. I would argue, Tommy, the areas where Microsoft is seeing the most investment are the ones that have the most categories, potentially, inside the ideas area. So there's a lot of investment at the data factory level. There's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of breaking down of categories, right? That data factory data integration space. Mm-hmm. Databases are a little bit there. There's some Cosmos DB. There's some SQL database stuff. Okay. The Fabric platform, admin, capacities, data hub, governance, OneLake, real-time, security support, workspaces. That's a lot of space right there. The platform is quite large with its ideas. And there's only one little tick item for Power BI.
Wow. That's sad. Okay, so this is where we're at now. And I think it's hard to navigate, especially Fabric, because Fabric is predominantly an enterprise tool. Even if you are a small organization, the major updates that people would submit on the ideas, and you had the report. Didn't you build the report when it was built in the Community Jam?
I did. I had the report on Community Jam. I think I took it down eventually because Microsoft moved the site from the old Ideas site to the new Ideas site. One of the things that kind of got me was I looked at how many items were in the needs votes area. I'm how many votes do we need for something to actually get worked on? Right? When something says needs votes, and this is where I think part of the ideas area is interesting for me right now is let's just conceptually step back. Let's just step back and say, look, Tommy, you're Microsoft. Tommy, how do you manage your product teams to get them to build what people want when you have, let's call it, thousands of ideas fracturing across many different people's vision of what the software should be doing, what the software should be making? I can't even imagine. And I'm trying to relate to this, Tommy, because I do software building. I build software for stuff, and you can build a lot of different things, and it's difficult to rein in all the ideas and centralize around here's the thing that we should build that is going to drive the most monthly active users. Here's the thing we're going to do to drive growth of the platform. A lot of these ideas, I think, are good polishing ideas, but they don't necessarily grow the platform all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And here's the thing, though, too. And to me, this makes a big difference. I know you're probably going to disagree with what I'm about to say, but the Power BI ideas worked because it was an application, right? There were ideas, obviously, for the service and, things that were happening on the web. But what made Power BI ideas so impactful to me was very much the fact that, you were dealing with it was application development. Microsoft was building a software, those Power BI, and those are the people using that application that anyone can download. What your deal with Fabric now is you can't really just like open up Power Fabric without an internet connection, right? Like Power BI desktop, I can use any CSV file, get started in 2 minutes. Usually if you're doing anything in Fabric, and this is to me, I think kind of a shift in just behavior, you're not just, I don't want to say messing around in Fabric, but usually when you create an artifact, you're creating something in the workspace, and there's kind of always an intention behind it. I know you, and I know a lot, and you're like me, where there's just a lot of, let me see what I can do in Power BI, and a lot of things I didn't have to save, or just, you're testing around. So it really had that, I want to say, more friendly experience. Now, if you're going to update something in Fabric, or, it has to integrate with everything. It has to integrate with all of the different services. So ideas don't make as much sense now too. It's the individual versus the wider group now that's interacting with Fabric.
You're bringing up an interesting point, and maybe it's the idea of what is the purpose of the ideas, right? At some level, there's some very big architectural decisions, right? It's hard to throw ideas from the community at these large architectural decisions, right? I'm going to build a lake house. What does that mean? Someone has to have vision for what the lake house means and how it integrates with all the different tools. How does each tool integrate with the lake house? Like that's something you don't just kind of like on a whim pull up an idea from an ideas page and then just implement, right? That's more strategic. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of investment. I understand that part. It feels like the initial days of the ideas page was really around like refining the rough edges of desktop and just trying to get a consensus from the community, what people in the community really wanted to feel for like shifting a feature, like refining a feature, right? Microsoft's already going to build new visuals, right? Okay, great. What new visual should they start with? Because there's a limited amount of time and money to build all of them. What should they build, right? I look at a lot of these ideas here on the ideas page, and it just feels like a lot of these are stagnant to me. Now, I know things are happening. I know things are moving along. But Tommy, have we hit a world where an ideas page for your product is no longer a thing? Like, let me give you an example. I'm gonna give you a thought experiment.
Okay, I'm listening.
I had someone send me a link yesterday, and the link was someone talking about their application, their web application. The web application had instead of an ideas page, it had a submit your prompt here. So it was basically a window that you would click and you would type in your prompt. I wish the app would do XYZ thing. I wish the app would build this and include screenshots, include images. It had like this whole area. When you turn into a world, Tommy, where anyone can, when the creation of the code becomes developed by an agent, the agents can build the branches, the agents can do the testing. I think I just read an article this morning that said that Anthropic is using its current AI to build its next AI. 70% of the Claude code that's written right now for their next version of Claude Code was written by the prior agent. Software developers are getting aware of this and saying, if you could just prompt your way into the next feature, Does this change, Tommy, how ideas in general work with software? Do you build software and just say, submit your prompted feature ideas here, describe the feature in detail, and then you just let the AI go chew through it? Like, you have some checks. You have to do some checks. You can't have, like, bad things coming through prompting things. But do you just go out and build a version of the software with this feature in it
Mike,
and just have it built?
You as an individual, sure. Or if you're not supporting, I don't know, over 1 million companies, then maybe not, because it's very different when you're as big as Microsoft. Like, I don't think Google's doing that anytime soon.
But imagine this though, Tommy. Like, what if your
I would
product is really truly developed by the users who use it, right? Let me just pull back some a little bit here. Let me retease the idea again a little bit, Tommy. If your software can be replicated by anyone, right? If you're whatever software as a service, right? If someone can take screenshots of your product and go send it to an agent and say, write me or build me or do whatever, make this thing, and it looks very similar. I'm seeing right now this happening for Figma to some degree, Tommy. Figma is a great design program, but it's now owned by Adobe. They have this kind of clench on the market around like graphics and graphic design stuff. Okay, interesting. Why can't you? I'm seeing people grab entire Figma screenshots and just rebuild the entire app. And now it's like an open source or a low code version of the same software. What barrier do you have in owning that software now? So I'm under the impression here that if the new world we're walking into is everyone is a software developer, everyone can prompt their way into the next feature, the next idea, the next design. The only way for you to remain competitive against your competitors is allow your community to help you build, not just create the ideas page, because this creates a lot of extra friction right now, Tommy, right? Go to the ideas page, submit an idea. Someone on the product team has to go review the idea, see if any other ideas are similar in nature. And why not just shortcut all that? Why not just figure out how to make that thing become a new feature branch? And then someone just reviews the feature branch and say, does this work or does this not work? Or refine the feature slightly and make it fit the product goals.
Do you really think Microsoft, I would love to know their workflow, building Office. Like, you're missing, I feel, some incredible components when it comes to enterprise software. And that's what we live in now. That's what Fabric is. This is not just anyone can download. Security.
Can I argue your point real quick around enterprise software?
Okay.
The barrier to make enterprise software, I think, is dropping. It's dropping. The barrier to do that is getting less and less every day that we have this going on. So keep going. I'm just going to throw that there.
Well, first, I'm going to vehemently disagree with that, because you may be able to build something. However, you better dang well support something, from networking to also security, and who's on the line. Anyways, I'm not going to get into from the IT point of view.
How is that any different than, like, would you argue Claude Cowork is not enterprise grade?
No, not yet.
You don't think Claude Cowork is enterprise grade, where you literally have an add-in for PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, and it's competing directly, and so much so that Microsoft came out with Copilot Cowork, which a good announcement there. Satya just tweeted recently, Copilot Cowork is now a branded thing. It's a thing that's inside Copilot, and licensing some changing now, but that happened because of Claude Cowork. That's the whole reason. So I would argue Anthropic and Cowork is an enterprise piece of application, which now 70% of that is now being developed directly by the agent itself. So I'm gonna disagree with you on that point, that enterprise software is not arriving. That isn't almost entirely built by agents. Now, keep going, Tommy, with your point. I have another point I'll follow up with.
Yes. So again, individual editing a single file, or files. It's me, the individual, going in saying, update my PowerPoint, update these Excel files. The application's already built. Enterprise is a little different, Mike, because it has to want to obviously work across systems, cross collaborate. Um, we're talking about something like Microsoft Office or Gmail. Yeah, I'm sure you could build your own Gmail if you wanted to, but the other side of it is for yourself. Again, this is what we've gone back and forth when it comes to the AI conversation. AI right now is amazing for me, the individual, for me, the few. But when it comes to us, the collective, the 50,000 people who need to use the same software or application, well, that's where we're again finding the limitations. I know what you're saying. I could probably build something that looks like Outlook that maybe has a domain, but I cannot support that across 100 million thousand emails. Anyways, let's go back to Fabric here. When this is why I'm calling Fabric an enterprise software, because you have to be in the system. Power BI Desktop, free to download. I didn't even have to submit an email, and I could download Power BI Desktop and use the entire tool. Obviously, there was the sharing, and that was part of that enterprise feature, but anyone can get started. Okay. So
Well, hold on. I understand your comment around enterprise software here, Tommy. And this is maybe a bit forward thinking more than most people. I think software companies, and especially larger ones, are going to have the ability to, I think they're going to need the confidence to be able to burn down their entire software stack and rebuild it and start over. I think the level, like, let me give you some perspective why I say this. Someone was doing an experiment with Claude Code. They were like, hey, we want to build a compiler for Linux or something like that. They were trying to compile an operating system, which is a very complicated solution to go do. This is where the agent teams idea kind of aroused from, right? So Anthropic's doing testing. They build these things called agent teams, and now agents can then talk to each other and make bugs and make branches and fix code and make code, new code, all these things. They basically threw a team of agents against a compiler and had it work over a weekend, and it rebuilt a new compiler all by itself. It debugged things, it handled merge conflicts, all the normal software-y things that you were doing previously was happening faster with a handful. And again, I think they spent $10,000 or $20,000 in tokens to do it because it's an expensive project from a token perspective. But they were able to execute this and have it build all the software. I don't think traditional software companies are going to be able to compete, Tommy, in this space unless they are reimagining their software at a speed at which my ideas can go from idea into product in minutes or hours, as opposed to weeks or months. The tolerance is not there. And if you don't do this, your competitors will do this. And I think to me, this is the point where I'm looking at this going, I don't know if I want to be a software developer as much as I want to be a person who enables a community of people, problem solver. So problem solver is a better, I think Alex Powers put out a little thing on Twitter or LinkedIn or something like that I thought I resonated with a lot. Instead of being a program manager, a PM, you need to be a problem manager. Figure out where problems are in your workflows. Those are the things you can automate out. And so what I think I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing a lot of companies need to focus on what are the workflow problems that we're having and how do we use AI to build tools that help that become smoother, easier, faster. And so me internally as our company, we're tearing down all of our software and rebuilding with agentic-like experiences to help speed up the development cycle of software. And any new customer we're doing is going to have a level of agentic development software patterning with how we build things with our engineers. The engineers are still involved. They're still doing the reviews. We're still doing all the things we used to do before, but we're adding now with AI, we're able to add more agentic spaces on this thing. So I think ideas in its traditional sense is now going to have to shift more towards how can you get an idea from the community into your product as fast as possible by letting the AI noodle on that idea for you. Let me just pause there. What do you think, Tommy?
this is where I think we differ because
I can see
I
a lot of
still-
hesitation there.
yeah, I think right now I can see that being a possibility, but what you're basically saying is Mike, in a world of 2.5 or how many billion people are here, everyone is basically going to be on the run for creating their own application, their own kind of closet. It's like when we transitioned from everyone had the same television shows when you went to school and you're like, hey, you guys watch the same show because we only have 4 channels. And now no one watches the same thing because you have Netflix and everything's super catered, which is fine with entertainment. But I don't really think you can do that with applications, especially in a work environment. This is where we differ because
Can I give you another story?
Sure.
Okay. PC Mag just talked about. I read this article the other day, and I'll put this in the chat window for anyone who wants to read it. PC Mag just put out another article here. Hopefully, I got this right. There's actually a whole bunch of text things here. Let me copy this. I'll put this here in the chat window, Tommy, so you can see it. This article talks about Mozilla Firefox. Right? Enterprise software. People use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly secure. According to Mozilla researchers, Anthropic's AI code, Claude Opus 4.6, discovered 14 high security bugs and issued 22 CEVs over the course of 2 weeks. Almost 1/5 of all high severity Firefox vulnerabilities that were remediated in 2025. 1/5 of the security vulnerabilities resolved in an entire year has been compressed down to 2 weeks. This is what I'm talking about. It's stuff like this. It's the idea that I understand, Tommy, you're talking about like code has to be secure, it's got to be good, all these. When you have agents that can go through and find security vulnerabilities at this rate, at this speed, and not only just identify them, but then also come up with fixes for them and push them back into your software, this is what's happening. To me, I look at this going, when I see articles like this on large software companies that are using these code things to help accelerate their security, the new features, the things they're building, this just wants me to push more towards this direction. And so I think your hesitation here is just like a very traditional software development pattern. And I think companies that don't adopt this are still going to have a really hard time keeping up with the new guys who act like, if my software has 14 less security bugs than the next guy, that just makes my story all that much stronger. If my software is coming out with features every couple days as opposed to every couple weeks, that just makes my software stronger. And I think to me, Tommy, that the aha moment here for me was in January, February of this year, the agents that are coding things aren't just making new code that is kind of better, but then kind of falls off and it needs a little bit more work to make it improved. I think we're starting to see the ability for agents to not only create and look at code that you already have and actually improve it over time, not incur additional tech debt every time it builds something.
Okay. I think there's a lot to remain to be seen. Mike, what about Fabric in this? Are you then just suggesting that Microsoft has an AI to say what you want updated and they're going to use that?
Yeah, it's called Copilot. Just tell Copilot what you want. It'll just work.
No, with Fabric. So, yeah.
So, okay, all jokes aside, but I do think, right? I don't know how you get there, Tommy, right? It's a lot more of this. I can say a lot of things because I'm the bystander. I'm the one on the edge looking at Microsoft, and then I can poke ideas at things and say how it should or should not work, right? I mean, right. I would love to walk into the Excel team and say, hey, let's throw a whole bunch of Claude code and rebuild all of Excel. Let's just just make it all look the same, but rebuild all the back end of it. So all the bugs and issues and performance challenges that we've had in the past just go away. I don't know if that's possible, Tommy. To your point, there's been so much work on top of Excel, how it's been built, the legacy of things that have been there, the way that it's been written. I also think there's a challenge, Tommy, around legacy software. So anytime you're dealing with a lot of software that is like really old and has old tech stacks in it, I find it's more difficult for AI to figure out patterns and innovate and build on top of it. So you really have to, again, as a software developer, I have to really step back and say, how can I rethink my software solution in a way that agentically will allow it to be developed? Even your development cycle, your process has to change, right? If I have a really complicated build process that the agent can't see what code it's making or what changes it made to the code or the code base or whatever that is, it's going to be very difficult for the agent to just make a change, see the change, and then fix the change. So that's why a lot of what I see software right now is, I think this new world of ideas and how people build software is pushing every company to build the browser, because browsers are easy to build, compile code for. The browser is a very clean, simple interface. And now you can get a lot of automation and scraping and Playwright and MCP servers that help you interact directly with the web page. So I think this agentic space is just going to accelerate more web development, because the reward of building things agentically is easier when you build for a website. You can get all the CI/CD stuff done. You can have it compile. You can have it build locally, as opposed to building like full-on desktop applications where you have to like build the app, compile it down, get an executable, install said executable, and
Right.
there's just more friction. I think it can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done. It's just more friction, and you have to change how you develop in your development cycle. I don't know if we're going to get away from that in desktop or building things with software on computers. But I will argue most of what I use now is 100% web browser based.
Which is
Everything.
also, but again, that's all right. So for Javon, who submitted the question, where if he's listening, going, "Are
Where'd
they
this
gonna talk
go?
about that?
Are
Where
they
did
off
this
on
go?"
this is a rabbit trail.
So I gotta ask you though, how do you get your ideas? If you have a great idea for Microsoft Fabric, get it to the team, get some traction around it. Because before, it wasn't just submitting the idea. You and I both know there's also a lot of, I don't want to say politics, but we had to like then post on Twitter, I just submitted this idea, everyone should take
Yep.
a look at this. So and it would get traction that way. So for someone, if I want to get people to know about what's going on in with my idea with Fabric, what should people do?
That's a great question, Tommy. Well, a couple things. Let's add into the questions kind of in order, right? Can you please talk about how to submit Fabric ideas? Well, one is go to ideas.powerbi.com. It will automatically redirect you to the existing Fabric ideas page, and then on the Fabric ideas page, you can sort and filter down to like an idea that you care about or a part of the product, right? You go there, you can filter down to Power BI. So there is a dedicated website page for ideas. You can go there. I'll put the link to that in the description as well. I'm just going to confirm that this link works correctly. It does not. Hold on, let me go back. I'll go hopefully get the right link here. Let me just go back here to the home. I don't know why.
Did Fabric or Power BI ideas, and it did redirect me.
It did the redirect correctly. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is Power BI that ideas. Okay, so going there,
Or it'll Google you right to it. So
okay, so just go to ideas.powerbi.com. It will redirect you to the right site. I'll put that in there, and then it'll bring you into all the Fabric ideas, and then you can select different items there directly. And then it'll work, I think, a little bit better there as well. So that you can put that down. Here's the ideas site. That's how you get there. Once you're there, you can search for your ideas. Search is okay there. It's a little bit hard to navigate around. You can look for top ideas or new ideas. Those are the things I usually throw my votes towards. If I'm voting for something, I'm signing in. I'm looking for some of the, the hotter ideas.
Oh yeah.
Filter my area, pick on some of the hot ideas, throw my votes towards some of those things. I will say Microsoft is looking at ideas that's anything above, I think they said like above 150. It's at least making it to someone's radar where they're looking at. Maybe it's a bit higher now, maybe 500 votes.
Wasn't that just Power BI? This is Fabric too?
I don't know how they do it. I don't know how, so there's many teams now working on this, Tommy. Like it's not just one team. It's like many teams. So I don't know how does every team manage it the same way? Is every team getting pushes to information the same way? I'm not sure yet. But that being said, though, Tommy, you can go in there and look for ideas and find ideas that are there. You can also submit an idea, and during the submission of ideas, it will try to find similar ideas based on your titles. my preference around submitting ideas, even though I don't do it very often, is to search for ideas that are similar. And instead of making a brand new idea with my idea in it, I try to find something similar enough and add to the idea in the comments or the thread. Hey, here's what I think would be added or needed in addition to whatever the main description is. That way you're kind of, again, putting your effort towards things that are already in motion. I think that's a good idea.
It generally works better because here's the thing: you either want the recognition or you want things done.
I would rather have things just getting changed and done. I don't need my name on this is an idea from XYZ. I don't need my name on it. That's fine.
Yeah, I would rather just see the feature done.
Correct. Now, I'm going to also offer up another option here too, Tommy. There are some things of Fabric that I think are very core to what you want to build. There are also some things in Fabric now that you're not as thrilled about. So there's some challenges around write back. Write back seems to be expensive. Write back doesn't seem to be very easy to do. So how do we leverage things like that? Like, how do we get those features improved? And what I would argue here is this is where you can take it upon yourself to integrate with things that are of adding value to you through Fabric. So for me right now, I'm building applications using semantic models, Power BI embedded, and SQL servers. Like I'm the Fabric is my backend now to my applications. I've done 3 applications now, and all of them are residing in a web application, but the back end of it connects directly to Fabric. This is proving to be a really interesting pattern for me. So I'm picking out some of the things of Fabric that are like really important to me. Semantic models, lake houses, storage of data, SQL servers. These things are difficult to just vibe code into space, right? So I'm using those experiences and I'm building new front end UIs on how I want to see things built. Right? So that's where I'm spending some of my time. And I like this idea of like build in public, share what ideas you're building, tweet about them, put them on Reddit. I know a lot of the product team reads Reddit right now. So if you have a really good idea, go vibe code something. Go build a web app on top of what you think the feature is or the idea is. Go put that idea on Reddit. Let people see what you're building. I think the product team is really looking for these kind of things, and they will pick up some of these ideas if they see like working prototypes of these ideas, and they can see some emotion or feedback or directional from the community. Like, hey, this is a neat feature. I built this. Let's go check this out. I think that's really interesting. And I think that's another way of informing Microsoft around here's something that the community wants. We built it. The community builds it on top of some of the foundational pieces of Fabric. And I think that's really going to be the way you're going to start moving Microsoft to start to adopt and develop net new things. It's going to be easier for you to build.
Yeah. And honestly, though, too, it's tough because right now, the last 2 years, where was Microsoft's number one focus? It was integrating all of these enterprise tools because now I don't think any of the Fabric features were kind of, individuals from notebooks, Spark notebooks, data warehouse, real-time intelligence, machine learning. All these were, enterprise tools in an existing place. So am I missing anything that was more just from an individual point of view that they've kind of integrated into Fabric? So they've been focusing on just making sure that all works together. Mike, I think and they're going to keep listening to those enterprise customers for a bit. It's going to be harder to get your voice out. For me, I actually do believe, though, now, not that things are settling down, but we're beginning to see, less kinks, that the Fabric ideas will come through. And also, Microsoft loves examples in the open source community. Many times they've taken that and run with it if something gains traction. I don't think just a simple ideas board is enough now to say, like what you want to see get done, get heard. But create an example, GitHub repo with either, I've seen examples of people of their proof of concept
Yep.
that would have
Correct.
all the infrastructure built out, or what they've tried to do. And if that gains traction, I know, and I've seen Microsoft listen. I believe some of the scripts that they had for the audit log came from that, or something like that, with the
Yes.
PowerShell module, and they took it over.
Yep.
So I think there's more work that you have to do for what features you want. I wish that Javon put in some of the ideas that he was thinking about, with some ideas that he wanted to submit. Rather, because Mike, if you could ask the team right now, and you could submit 5 ideas that the Fabric team would see, what would be some of those ideas? You don't have to think of 5. That would be crazy.
You mean like if I needed some features that were like must-have features?
Yeah, and you wanted to get some quick recognition of those features.
Like it's going to make it in the product. Like if I had so this is like Michael's magic wand, right? If Michael had a magic wand and I could just say feature existed, make it happen. Like it would just materialize and appear. Okay. Like you need to ask a question. Are you talking about only features for Power BI? Or are you talking about any features in Fabric anywhere?
So,
what are you asking about?
It already gets complicated, but no, it is Fabric, because for Javon, he said, how do we submit Fabric ideas?
Okay. So I'm going to put a couple ideas toward, like, I'm just going to throw out some ideas I think have been interesting to me, where I think would be useful. I think one of the areas I would put my magic wand towards would be, there is, I think, a really big need for a table slicer. I think adding a table inside Power BI reports that functions just like a pivot table inside Excel would be very useful, right? Here is a table. These are columns. You select the drop down on the column. The column lets you pick or filter items in the column just like you would in a pivot table. And then when that table filters, the entire page filters. So it's like a slicer and table all kind of mixed together. The column headers become a series of slicers that filters the data of the table, but also applies those filter context to the rest of the page. I don't think anything like that exists. And to me personally, I see a lot of gaps currently inside table and matrices that just don't meet my needs as a traditional Excel developer coming into Power BI. It just seems like it's a half effort thing. So that would be one thing I would solve right away. It would be that part of it. The other idea I would probably throw at some things here, Tommy, would be around, it would be a feature more for like the Fabric side of things. I would like to see a little bit more emphasis on API and API access for everything in the platform. I really do think all software is going to need to shift its design work. So let me describe what I mean here. Tommy, how many AI agents do you have running for you right now across just different computers? Like how many would you say you have, kind of like just rough number?
Yeah, let's say no more or no less than 7.
7 different. They do very specific things. Like there's one agent that's doing this kind of work. If I may have another agent here that's like helping build my statement of works. I may have another agent that is managing my website. Just little. Tommy, you're one person. You're managing 7 employees that are helping you run your business. Okay. Now let's just say this ratio is, let's just be fair. Let's say there's a 1-to-4 ratio. Microsoft is now lifting out Copilot Cowork. Anthropic has Copilot, and it has Claude Cowork, right? All these things. Let's just say the average employee now gets 4 agents for whatever they're doing. You've just multiplied a 4x need for other tools, other individuals, other agents to access your tools. So pull that thought forward 6 months from now. The number of automated computer agents needing to access your software, it's not just one person, it's now 4 times that in agent mode. Agents don't like UIs. Agents don't like web pages. Agents like APIs. Agents like forms. Agents like things that are very programmatic and code-based. So I think the new world is going to be designed for agents. It's going to be designed for a CLI. Hey, Tommy, I'm going to build a new feature or something on my website. The first thing you should be building is an API layers, and all this code agent level access directly into that code. because for every one person, you're going to have 4 to 7 additional agents trying to access the same information. That needs to happen. It's going to happen. It's already happening right now. And so because you're seeing the proliferation now of agents becoming so effective and so useful, you're going to see agents popping up everywhere. And the only thing that's going to make agents even more effective, Tommy, is going to be when you bring the price to run these models lower. Apple is making a very big stance on, we are going to build the hardware to let you run really big models, right? When you can run models on your phone that can do things like, if you can have an agent bundled into your phone, Tommy,
Mike,
it's going to go insane. So for me, I'm looking at, so my one feature would be, is like, there's some things in desktop I would fix. I think the other side of things I would fix is make everything very agent centric, make everything very API driven, make everything capable with service principles, make everything capable with automation of stuff, because that's going to be the ability for people to create whatever they need and bolt on to the existing core functionality of what Fabric is doing. Semantic models, lakehouse storage, data warehousing, SQL databases, all the data stuff. Agents can't make that stuff up. You're going to have apps, you're going to have data, you got to have a platform to store it all. What it looks like at the front layer can change wildly.
You are going full only ideas for AI then.
Yeah. Honestly, Tommy, I think I believe we are moving to a world where we have to design agent first. So strategically, you'll notice on our website, Tommy, we have Power BI Tips has now gone full bore on all the knowledge Tommy and I have been talking about on the podcast. It's all there. You can search it all. Power BI Tips has been updating itself. We now have 300 episodes, full text transcripts, full videos, everything all landed on Power BI Tips. So if you haven't checked out the new site, go check it out, Power BI Tips. Go look at it a little bit. We now have a search window that will let you search 3 years of knowledge all the way back to 2013 of episodes, conversations, things that are happening, things we're unpacking on the podcast. This is a huge knowledge library. I'm trying to work on now is, how do I get agentic search on top of the website? So how do I take the corpus of text that we've now just published and make it agentic a little bit more? So I think, to me, this is the new world we're going to be living in. We have to design agent first, and that's going to really inform the website design, the backend design. And I think most companies should start thinking, if you're not already thinking API first anyways, you need to begin in API first. That's really where things are going to go.
I would take it a little differently than you are here, because
Help yourself, Tommy.
I'm just going to ask for a Fabric desktop application. That's all I want.
It's a great ask, Tommy. You're never going to get it. That is a pipe dream. That's a pipe dream and a half, Tommy.
Yours is so much more likely too, and it's probably going to happen. So, as crazy as that sounds, honestly, the agent stuff is awesome, but I'm not going to argue anymore with you with that, because
you can't, though. You can't, like, I know, Tommy, you're arguing only because you have a little bit of hesitation in your heart. You're like, I miss it. I don't want it to go away. I think there's a little bit of resistance to this. And the sooner people acknowledge, like, this is the new way things are going, it's going to move, like, it's rapidly going to move away from building code now. And John Kurisky was talking about here in the chat here. So John, thanks for jumping in and chatting with us today. We're having a lot of similar thoughts here. John is saying VS Code is the new Fabric desktop app. I'm gonna agree, John, to a point, but I think VS Code is also not the right solution for this one. I really do think I really think it's going to be something more like a Lovable or a Base 44 or a Spark from GitHub Copilot. It's going to be an experience where you can say, "Hey, agent thing, I'm going to talk to you as an agent." Just a chat window. Let's plan out what I want to build. And, oh, by the way, your source of data comes from this part of Fabric. The agent should already know how to connect to that data source and build what you want. Kurt Bueller is building full, beautiful dashboards by prompting it, and he says, "I'm enjoying the development process." Tommy, we've just been given a gift. We've been given a gift of being able to talk to a program, a computer, and articulate it with pictures and diagrams and natural language words. That is the way we will be building things moving forward. We will be building everything by just talking to the computer and giving it examples and images. People are going to enjoy this experience. And it takes the barrier away from me having to understand heavy DAX. I don't need to learn SQL BI stuff anymore. I have an ultra knowledgeable model that understands all aspects of DAX. And I think people are kind of a bit, there's a lot of development in the community, particularly around Power BI, that is very hesitant in this space. Like they're like, but we can't. DAX is so good. We need to have all this. Yes, I understand. But the gap between what the agent can do and what DAX it can write is getting smaller and smaller and smaller every day. It's getting more capable every day. And every new model that comes out, it's building better and better DAX. And the aha moment for me is I can now watch agents absorb thousands of pages of information, distill it down into reasonable information, and build something on top of that. I can't even do that. It's doing things I can't even do.
So how do you get like, here's the thing. My hesitation is not that I'm going to miss out or anything like that. To be honest, Mike, it's okay. Like a beating drum or a drum that keeps on drumming.
Yep.
It is one thing for you and I to talk about what I'm doing for myself and my own PC. But then when you try to deploy things, and again, right now, how many companies are creating enterprise software that are universally used? You have your Gmails, you have your Outlooks. Like let's take email as an example. And this is going to be no different, I think, when we're looking at in the world of data. How many email providers are there really? Right? Are you going to build your own?
Interesting, Tommy. This is where I think things shift a little bit for me, right? So I understand the email provider, there's a system, there's machines. There's something to say for having the infrastructure in place to do that kind of work, right? It has to be there. But who's to say Gmail and Microsoft and the Outlooks of the world, who's to say that's what it looks like in the future? Who's to say email still functions like we're already seeing like agentic developed email solution patterns of agents and things going through emails and highlighting what's important and auto responding for things that just aren't as needed, like helping you prioritize these things. I already don't like email to begin with, right? If I could throw an agent at it to make it even easier for me to ingest what is going on, I'd be happier with that. So, Tommy,
pretty good.
I agree with you. Who is building enterprise software? I think it's not a matter of who's building it right now. I think it's the rate of which someone can come in and tackle the problem a different way, right? And what are people willing to pay for? I would argue most of these software email programs that you are out today, the reason you use them is because they're free. It's just free, right? You get a Hotmail because it's free. You get a Gmail because it's free. You're the product and that information, right? They're giving you that product because you're actually the product. They want to see all your emails on their servers and be able to use them for whatever. They want to see what you're purchasing on Amazon, right? Let me give you another example. This one, Square just built a payment system for agentic spaces. So if you have Claude or Anthropic or Microsoft GitHub Copilot, Square has just built a real-time biller of code because all the prices for all these different AIs are changing all the time. It's more expensive here, it's more expensive there. You use this model, it costs this much. You use that model, it costs that much. It's complicated. The pricing is so dynamic right now inside agent stuff. But Square came in and said, look, just integrate with us. It doesn't matter what platform you use. We'll take care of all the negotiation of the pricing, and you just bolt on AI to your products, and whatever AI is being used will capture the cost, mark it up, and send that bill to the customer automatically, built into their product. What this does is this says Square is now going to have the price for every single AI model for every single company out there. And they are going to know what the markup on every single model is all over the world. And so if you're a founder and you're trying to build a new product, you're going to go to Square and use them because they're going to have all the information around the best advantages of which model to use in which environment. It's this kind of information that can be built when you start centralizing some of these things together. I don't even know where I was going with that, but that just seemed like a relevant fact.
You're basically telling me like, hey man, email is just what we want it to be.
It is. And do you ever remember what was Google Inbox? Did you remember that program?
I loved Google Inbox.
Okay. Google Inbox.
They took it away from me.
I know, Tommy. I have seriously contemplated rebuilding Google Inbox, like taking screenshots of it and saying every email has a folder and you have these buckets and every email gets like, I would love to vibe code Google Inbox again, open source it and make it an email platform. Bolt on whatever you want, Google Inbox.
Somewhere on the GitHub universe.
Maybe someone's got it somewhere. I haven't found it yet. So if someone has found Google Inbox, I really like that program. It was on my phone. It was very easy. Everything was categorized in a very simple way. It wasn't super advertising in any way. Like I'm looking at this going, that's amazing. Tommy, I'm also going to argue with you. Like I go to Reddit now. There's Reddit ads all over the place, dude. Reddit has so many ads on stuff now. And I don't really like it. So I built my own Reddit grabber, basically. I grab Reddit threads from specific channels that I'm interested in. And I have a list of all of my Reddit threads that I care about, ordered by score. And I can see exactly what comes in. No fluff, formatted the way I want, easy to look at, condensed information. All this other fluff on Reddit is just not helpful. It's just gotten busy with stuff I don't care about. I want to look at very specific things. So what I'm doing now, Tommy, is I'm taking open source feeds of things and I'm consolidating them down into a condensed knowledge. I'm doing Google Inbox across most of my workflow now. And so now I focus on the workflow. What helps me get from part A to part B as fast as I can in my workflow? How much of that can I automate? What parts of this are difficult and slow in my process? And can I add any AI on top of that to make it more efficient? That's where I think companies need to be thinking. And if you're not building this way, if you're not letting users directly, so I'm going to say ideas are dead. Ideas pages, ideas sites are no longer a thing. I think you're really going to have to come back and rethink that mentality and actually how quickly can you get someone's idea into a feature branch? I think that's the new hurdle people need to figure out. And the sooner companies figure that out, the faster they'll be able to produce code and good features and make a product. Tommy, who's to say the product does? I have a vision of what my software program should look like. Is that the right idea? Is that the one that serves the most customers? It may not be, right? That may not be the right way to think about it. Instead, you might want to think about something differently. You might want to think about, let's rethink this and actually focus on how can we have our community of users building the next feature? How can you shortcut that cycle? That's where I think the next gold mine is going to come from.
Mike, I await that moment in time, but here's the thing. I think the whole time we've been wanting to say or not wanting to say that ideas are probably dead. It's just the lemon's not worth the squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
But I think here we are because it served its purpose. I do want to give some flowers to the ideas board for what it was because I was checking it all the time.
Sure.
And it lived it out. And just like to your point, Mike, so is Microsoft and Amazon. I'm not going to need Amazon anymore because I think I can build some AI to get my groceries. So it's just kind of the way of the world. So for Javon or anyone else who wants to kind of help contribute, actually, one thing we did not mention too is if you really want to help contribute to what Fabric looks like, take a look at the people who write the blogs. and start. I don't want to say start talking to them on Twitter, but reach out to someone. And because there's always some preview or some testing that they're doing that they want to get, users feedback. And if that's really something you're passionate about, they like, I would love to help out with, the new thing you guys are doing and, take a look. Generally, there's probably something going on. And that's not just unique for MVPs. I know that other people as well who are not MVPs, but have been in, certain testing programs, depending on the size of your company, et cetera.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, because that's what anyone who's submitting an idea is doing, basically saying, I know a better way. And at the end of the day, that's really what they're trying to say.
Yes and no. I would yes to some point, Tommy, but I also would argue that person submitting the idea is my workflow doesn't quite fit with what you built. And here's the friction I see and what I think would make things better. Some of these ideas are going to be genius and on point. Some of them are just going to be not well thought out and not really fit the vibe, or you're actually adding a feature that's going to actually add extra work to your process. You need to rethink, reframe your mind a little bit about how it works. But like, I think to your point, Tommy, yeah, I think I agree. Like it's this idea of I have an issue or a process I'm trying to do, and your program doesn't quite fit it. That's what the ideas site is saying. These are friction points for me that are just difficult to use. And so
Exactly.
the faster you can take those friction points and remove them into your product, Tommy's, I'm trying to grapple with why would anyone want to use your software? Why would anyone want to use it if I can just go out and recode it with something else in a couple days? Realistically, right?
I don't know.
If I can spend $20 in tokens to go get your software done, literally, I'm looking at every piece of software in my business right now, and I'm ripping them out one by one and rebuilding them and not paying for it. I'm paying for to run my own application, which is way cheaper than having to pay for all these other software companies storing my data that I don't want to be stored in places that I don't know where it is. Like I'm killing all of it. It's all going away. The barrier for me to make this, I'm tasking my team to learn agentic things by rebuilding core pieces of software for my business. So because I think this is the way to go. And now if you build everything with agentic code, every time you want to make a feature change, if there's a process difference, if you want to modify something, it's now just describe the feature to the AI and have it fix it.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy what's going to happen. I think this is the future of what's going to be going on here. Anyways, all that said, really interesting discussion around ideas, product shaping, and where to go from here. Let's kind of wrap here, Tommy, with some of these final ideas. So, for now, the best way to get your ideas to Microsoft is go to ideas.powerbI.com, submit your ideas there. Try to add your ideas to existing ideas today currently. How do we see the future of data engineering? Michael will 100% say it's agentic and it's talking to a computer with code, with words. Tommy may have a different opinion on this one, but I think the future of data engineering is cooked. Everyone will be a data engineer in the near term here. And you're going to have an entirely different way of thinking about building things with agents. That is the new world that we're going to live in. Yeah. Submit more ideas. Let Microsoft know what's going on. They do look at that today currently. Anything else, Tom, you want to wrap with?
Ideas are great. Ideas are fun. Build yourself. Use AI. There's my haiku.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the best I got.
We got to get out of here. I'm going to keep talking about
dude, it's late, man.
The world of things is very interesting right now. I'm so excited where things are going. Anyways, I've said too many words. Tommy, thank you so much for the conversation. Great topic today. Javen, I think is how we say the name. So thank you very much for the question. Really good thought-provoking things. I think we're in a world here where things are going to change very rapidly, very quickly. And I'm excited about it. So as you can tell. That being said, Tommy, where else can you find the podcast?
You can find us in Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe and leave a rating. It helps us out a ton. If you have a question, idea, or a topic that you want us to talk about in a future episode, head over to powerbi.tips/podcast. Leave your name and a great question. And finally, join us live every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 a.m. Central on all of Power BI Tips social media channels.
Thank you all so much, and we really appreciate listening. Thanks for hanging out this long. I know some people are still around. Hope you found this somewhat informative as well. We appreciate you and your listenership. We'll see you next time.
Explicit measures, pump it up, be it high. Tommy and Mike lighting up the sky. Dance to the data, laughs in the mix. Fabric and AI, get your fix.